Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining the stream. Welcome, Hunter, Click, Kumar, you, Kay, Justin, Tim. Thank you guys so much for joining the stream this morning. Let us know what stocks you're watching, and Tom and I will go over them. Good morning, everyone, and we have you saying DraftKings is getting clapped on a short report. So yes, they are. If we take a look at DraftKings, that is definitely one of the top stocks to watch today. I'm a huge fan of DraftKings for the long term. And basically, they had like a short report published against them, claiming like all these bad things from Hindenburg. And I read through that briefly. But either way, it's definitely not good news for DraftKings. In the past, Hindenburg has made reports about some companies like Nikola, but they've also made reports about companies like Enphase. So they do have some credibility, but of course, they're not always right. Enphase had a report with them, and they're doing just fine. So either way, I'm going to take a lot of time to fully go through that report. But either way, while DraftKings is falling, personally, I like them for the long term, and I'll probably be selling some puts on them. But yeah, thank you guys so much for this stream. Thanks for joining. Tom, how's the market overall doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's doing decent today, kind of just flat on the overall market. It is starting to pull back very slightly down to like the close of yesterday on the SPY. And we saw yesterday at the end of the day, the SPY and the QQQ just straight up exploded, and the SPY is at all-time highs again right now. So hopefully at open, we can start to see a pretty good bounce, possibly off of this 425 support. And we might start to see another pop back up because yesterday's close was very strong, and hopefully we can start to see a lot of these stocks still go up today.
For sure, for sure. So do you have any like top stocks you're watching going into the market for today?
I'm still kind of watching NIO, which was a big one yesterday. I'm still hoping that they can pop, but it just seems like that this morning, a lot of these stocks seem like that they've lost a lot of the momentum that they had at the end of the day yesterday. But there's still a lot of chance that at open we could see some nice green candles come out of the market here. And I mean, the market is open, but hopefully we can start to see some green come in. It's not looking good. We have NIO kind of going red today. Also was watching Tesla, but they're also going red. I was kind of hoping that these EV stocks could start to turn around. I'm really watching Palantir, waiting for them to break up above their high of this morning at 25.30. And this stock actually looks pretty good, going green initially at open.
Yeah, I saw that. Palantir is finally doing pretty good, which is awesome to see. I was also really watching Airbnb. I had my eyes on this one for like a couple weeks now, and they've been really, really struggling at that $150 resistance level. And it's at that level, or at least close to it again. So it's definitely on my radar. I feel like if we can get like a clean break, like above this like chop zone, you say, I think it has a lot of potential to the upside.
Yeah, I do too. That's actually a really good setup that you called out here with Airbnb, and I like how like it's just been steadily staircasing up, and it definitely looks like it's going to break 150 eventually. So we'll have to see if it can today or not, but it looks like a pretty good setup, possibly for later on. Right now, it seems like that it's just coming back down a little bit from that like green that it had at open with like a just one like red candle now on the 1 minute chart. But overall, I think it has a lot of potential, especially like you said, if it could break that 150 resistance. I think that's going to pose as a good level, especially for day trading. But running back to the SPY, really quick to check it out again at open. On the 5 minute, we're actually coming down right to that 425 resistance right now, and we're bouncing like right off of it. So we'll have to see if we can kind of hold here or if the SPY is going to start to sell off. And the QQQ, which was doing even better than the SPY yesterday, is selling off pretty hard today also. So it looks like there might be a little bit of a pullback going on.
All right, and then how's AMC doing? I know it's like kind of like it's slowly going up in pre-market, and I know we're really at that $60 resistance that you talked about in yesterday's video. But what do you think with this one? Because like we have some people saying it's gonna go to 1,000 or more. Some people say it's gonna crash. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely it's an interesting situation to say the least.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And I love this $60 resistance here. It looks like that it's definitely having lots of problems breaking above that. And it's very defined here at 60. But it looks like it could do that later on today. And whenever it does finally pop above 60 and it actually ends up breaking out, I think it's going to be a pretty good runner. And it's been trying to break out of this level for quite a few days. And you can see on the daily, like we're starting to come back up over the past few days, and we had a lot of momentum. So hopefully we can start to break out above 60 and move up into this $70 range, which is around those highs again. I think that it is possible for that to happen if we could break. And it looks like the stock is starting to run right now, moving up to $60, like as I'm talking. And man, it's crazy to see this with AMC. It's having so much problems at $60, but at the same time, it just seems like it's just ready for like a big breakout. We've been kind of hovering around here for a few days and we're testing it again. And there we go. We actually just popped up through $60. So we're going to have to see if it can keep going like above that high of yesterday, which was right around 60.50. And there we go all the way up to 60.80 while we're live. So look at that. Yeah, it's nice to see AMC running.
Awesome. And then did you see Boeing yet? Like, it's kind of popping up while the market is a little flat. It really is bouncing off that 245 support. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I did not see this one yet today, but it does look very good. I'm definitely throwing it on the radar now. I honestly like Boeing's setup. It has a huge resistance around 260, but I think that with it bouncing, it looks like a pretty good setup off of this like little resistance here. And it's hit off of here in the past, so it's not like it's just like a random level or anything. It's definitely a really good support level. And it does look pretty good, I think, possibly for like a couple day swing or something like that. But it does look possibly good for a day trade also. Intraday, I do see resistance coming up around like 248, but just be a little careful right now. I think it could keep going though, but I really like it on the daily. Mike, thanks for bringing this to my attention. I'll definitely be watching it over the next few days.
Sounds good. So, guys, let us know what stocks you're watching. We have M asking about Wish. So let's check it out. What is Wish doing? Wish is breaking out. There we go. So it's breaking out above that like $12 and you can say like 20-cent level, which is awesome. It has some momentum with it. Has some nice relative volume coming into the stock. Right now it's up around 7%. It definitely has potential.
Yeah, it does. I mean, another big runner today out of another hype stock, and I like to see it running. It's all the way. Well, it was up 10%. It is pulling back very slightly right now, but I like how it's starting to break out. And whenever you look at Wish on the daily, it doesn't look too bad. It had that good support down there. It's 752, and looks like it's just trying to run up now over the next few days. And I wouldn't be surprised if we came back up and tested that $15 resistance, but I think it's going to take a lot of momentum to kind of get this one to go back up, but it is starting to really break out well.
Alrighty, so we have Facebook actually really popping up, Tom. So if we look at just like the market overall, it's kind of actually falling a decent amount, but Facebook is definitely holding its ground, and intraday it's starting to pop up, and we actually broke all-time highs today with it. So it has momentum, and I think it's awesome how it's popping even though the market is, I don't want to say tanking, but it's just like the momentum isn't there at least right now.
Yeah, I agree. It's awesome to see that at all-time highs right around that 340 level. Hopefully it can keep going up today because that was a pretty good move. And I'd like to see it really break out. But yeah, Facebook does look pretty nice today. Yeah, it had a huge move actually from yesterday. It moved all the way down to 330 at open, and then now we're sitting all the way up at like 339 to 340. So it's definitely had like a great couple days. And whenever you look at that 1 year daily, it's really holding up above some of these trend lines and holding support very, very well. And I like it. It looks like it could be a multi-day runner as well if we could start to break out above 340. So honestly, I really like Facebook and some of these other like social media companies. Like let's go check out Twitter today, which is just flat to slightly down. Snapchat is kind of flat to slightly down as well, down 2% actually. So Snapchat is moving down off their resistance. So it's nice to see Facebook, like you said, really outperforming a lot of these other companies.
Alrighty, and then we have Bravo saying, "Good morning, guys. What's up with DraftKings?" So we did a more detailed explanation in the beginning of the stream, and we're also going to give just a good overview in tonight's video. But a short, simple summary is basically they had a short sellers report come out against them, saying that DraftKings does, some illegal, like, gambling things, blah, 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 blah. And, Hindenburg took a short position on them. Sometimes Hindenburg is correct, like with Nikola, but sometimes they're wrong big time, like with Enphase and what I think is going to be DraftKings. I am a fan of DraftKings for the long term, but we'll definitely give more information in tonight's video. But then we have Mike saying, Baba is testing resistance a couple times. How's it doing, Tom?
Yeah, let's go check it out. Baba's not looking the best today. It is starting to come down a little bit, down to that like 212 support that we see on the chart. There's a pretty good support around 211 to 212, but yeah, it is kind of going down today, which is not the best sign in the world, but it is holding the support well, which is decent. So we'll have to see how it can hold up over the next few days. But yeah, it is starting to come down today. Not the best of signs, but whenever you go look at the daily chart, Baba's just been beaten down so much over the past few months that I think it has a good chance to hold some of these supports and start to, go up over the next like month or two.
For sure, and that doesn't mean it's gonna explode up today, tomorrow, and for the next 3 days. So overall, I agree with you, Tom. I think the setup looks pretty decent. Then we have Bravo saying, GLD, is it time to hedge more into GLD? Um, it depends. I mean, I like it for like the next couple months minimum. Like it's like definitely a longer term play. I don't think it's a bad move, Bravo. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely not a bad move, but personally, like, I wouldn't get like leaps into it right now. If anything, like maybe GLD shares or something along those lines. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that GLD shares would be the way to go. And we're kind of like in the middle of a range. GLD has a pretty big range here between like 160 and 180, and we're like at 174. So we're kind of towards the upper end of the range. Personally, I would just start to average in right now to shares, maybe take like a 25% of your overall position right now, and then maybe wait a little bit to see if it can come down to like the 170 support or like the 168 support. I think it could hit there over the next few days or couple of weeks. And whenever we go look at like slash GC, which is the gold futures, you can see on the chart, it looks like a lot more defined how it hit off that resistance up there around 1900. And it could start to come down possibly over the next few days. And I think that the FOMC meeting later this week is going to really show, what's going to happen. So that's why I think it's good to average in. If the FOMC meeting really makes gold start to pop, then I think it could be a pretty good sign. But if it, if the Fed doesn't really change up anything that they're currently doing, then I think that it'll pretty much just make gold continue to be flat to slightly down. So I think it just depends on what happens. But I think that like averaging into shares isn't terrible, but like Mike said, it's definitely a longer term play. In the shorter term, it could go either way. And, it could be good to play off supports and stuff like that, but it's going to be very hard to like get very good timing on GLD, at least like for a trade like for tomorrow, for example.
For sure. So we have Hunter saying, if AMC wasn't so hot, I bet Wall Street Bets would target DraftKings because they hate short reports. I really wouldn't doubt it. So, either way, I mean, it sucks like to have this catalyst right now with DraftKings. I mean, personally, like from all the research I've done, I've definitely still like them. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely with you, Hunter. I really wouldn't be surprised. And who knows? Maybe if DraftKings has a high short interest, maybe we'll get that Wall Street Bet support, you can say.
That would honestly be pretty cool, Mike. Like, what would happen if like a bunch of short sellers hop into DraftKings on this news and then we end up getting a short squeeze out of DraftKings? That would honestly be amazing. And, for the longer run, with states legalizing like sports betting and stuff, even if like DraftKings incurs a fine or something like that from their Asian markets, because it says a lot of their practices that were shady were kind of like overseas. And it was also with companies that they kind of merged with. So keep in mind that like with DraftKings going forward, even if they get fined, they're going to have so much money that they're probably just going to be perfectly fine for the longer run. And whenever you're talking about something like sports betting or gambling like that, it's definitely a solid company. And for the longer run, I think that it's going to be great to pick up shares down here at the bottom or to sell puts, like you said, Mike. I think that this is honestly making a really good opportunity for a lot of traders.
Alrighty, and then we have Tim saying Workhorse is getting hammered. Let's check it out. WKHS, it definitely is. Wow, look at this one, Tom. Do you have any levels for us?
Yeah, I mean, I actually have a huge support posted around like $12 to $13 on Workhorse. It was hitting right off that solid resistance level, somewhere like right around $18. And then it started going to the downside. It was also hitting right off of the 100 SMA, which has been very defined actually on Workhorse's chart. It's hit off of that one quite a bit and then like flew way to the upside. Or for example, on the day that it fell like 50%, it fell right through that 100. So there's definitely some good levels to look out for here as we start to see Workhorse moving to the downside. Definitely watch out for like 1350 as the first support. We're at 1432 right now. I think that we could definitely hit that over the next couple of days. If we start to fall below that, start to look out for support possibly around 12, but it's going to start to look pretty bearish if we can, if we keep falling down from right here. So hopefully Workhorse can start to like hold these levels and just kind of, stay flat or start to go back to the upside, honestly.
Alrighty, so I'm just trying to see what's moving. It looks like we have Airbnb breaking out. There we go. So Airbnb is moving up. That's great to see. And look at that. It's like really explosive movement. I love to see that. Let's see. CVX is moving up. Up around, like you could say just under 2%. MU, Tom, check this one out. MU intraday.
Wow, yeah, it's actually filling that, like, not a gap per se, but it's starting to fill up some of that bad movement that it had over the past few days and almost recover back to the upside. And whenever we look at MU on the daily, it's starting to look like it held that support and it's just starting to post a lot of good green candles. So, great moves out of MU. And that was some unfortunate like news it had for a couple of days moving to the downside with like how all these computer parts and stuff like that just keep inflating in price. But overall, it's good to see them starting to come back to the upside. And I think that it honestly is starting to look pretty hot.
Alrighty. All right, let's see what these next questions look like. We have Vicky saying, good morning, Palantir, Roblox, and pins, please. So Palantir, Roblox, and pins. Palantir's looking pretty good. Tom and I like both. Yeah, Tom, we were talking about this one in yesterday's video. It's breaking out. I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's actually breaking out right now, right above that 25.30 resistance and running all the way up now to 25.43, looking very good. I think this one could have been for a great day trade today. And I actually posted it in the Discord in our free day trading section. If it passes above 25.30, I would grab calls on it. And it looks like it did that this morning. It's moving pretty well so far. So we're going to have to see how it can keep moving today. But overall, Palantir looks great. On the daily, it's really holding some of these supports and resistances here, like at $25, and it's starting to really break out above those. And I'm going to really like some of this movement, I think, over the next couple of days as we see a lot of these stocks start to break out.
All right, and then Roblox, RBLX, that's popping up. Honestly, it is popping up right now, but it's not my favorite setup. Personally, I'm just going to stay neutral on it.
Yeah, me too. On the 1 year daily, it had a great run from 65 all the way up to 103. Now it's just kind of consolidating. And I think it's like, it did bounce right off that support, but personally, I'm with you, Mike. It's just not my favorite setup in the world. And I'm not saying that they're going to be bad or that the company's not going to do well or anything like that. But I just think that like for the next couple months, this stock could start to get really volatile and just start to go up and down a lot, especially with the huge moves that we've been seeing out of it.
All right, now with the next one, we have pins. Let's see, it is breaking out. They have resistance at 70. If it can break and hold above that level, I'd like it. But it's also still like not my favorite setup in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly like it. I think I like it a little bit better than you do, but I think that the 70 resistance is definitely the thing to look out for, like you said. Either way, just make it break $70. And once it pops above that, I think it could be good for possibly like a quick like 1 or 2 day swing or something like that. But overall, pretty good movement out of pins. But like Mike said, just make it break out above $70. And then I think it could look pretty decent.
Alrighty, and then we have Kay saying shop broke through and held 1300. How's it doing? Let's see. It's doing pretty well, actually. I actually like this one.
I like it too. It looks very nice. I like that move off of like that $1,200 support that it had a few days ago. Really nice confirmation on the SMAs also, and just starting to really break out above this solid resistance that we had around 1300. And man, it's looking really hot. I honestly like it for the next like day or two, depending on the movement that we see today, but it could definitely keep running up. Definitely keep your eyes on this one for the rest of the day. And kind of like yesterday, you can see how like it exploded it open and then just slowly traded up for the rest of the day. And it'd be very nice to see that happen again.
All righty, let's see what we have next. We have Mike saying thoughts on X. Let's check it out. X is tanking. it has like in my opinion, Tom, let me know if you see something else, but the next major support I see is 24, and it's it's been in this, like, I guess you could say, pattern over like the past couple months where it has a nice big like run up. It tanks down for a couple weeks, and it runs back up again, tanks down for a couple weeks, and it keeps repeating that pattern. But it looks like that pattern might be coming to an end, because in the past, every time it would run up, it would break a previous high, where this time it didn't break that previous high. You know, the high was around $30, and it only got to like 20, like not even 29. So it's not a good sign in my opinion. Lower highs show like losing strength. So I'm not feeling the best about this one.
Yeah, I'm not either. And for me, it's mainly just like the price of steel. You know, like steel's been going up so much that if it starts to come down a little bit in price, that's going to hurt X a little bit in the short term. And plus, they're just kind of like X just went straight up this year. So really look out. They had a solid resistance at 30, also like Mike said, but I'm really watching like the 25 to $24 range for that support. And I think that if we could start to like bounce off of there again, it could be a pretty good level. And also I have this blue trend line drawn, which it's hit off of almost every single time whenever it was stair stepping up. So really watch out for that as well. And like you said, Mike, it almost looks like it's like going to be at the end of this trend. And if it starts to break this blue line to the downside pretty well, I'll start to get pretty worried about it. But at that point, it'll also be moving below the 25 and 24 support as well.
Alrighty, and then let's see. We have Sam saying Square is trying to break out of 230. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Square is starting to look really good. I honestly love this setup. I think it looks like a lot of those tech stocks trying to break out above those resistances right now. And really, it's sitting right on the 100 SMA, like we're seeing tons of stocks doing for some reason on the daily chart. And it's weird to see like multiple stocks in totally different sectors with totally different movement. And a lot of them are sitting on that 100 SMA for some reason on the daily and breaking out above them. So I'm definitely gonna be looking out for Square to start to move back to the upside today again. And I really like how like it fell at open and it recovered right back up. So hopefully we can start to see another breakout, because Square's kind of been one of those stocks that have been beaten down also over the past couple months. It almost reminds me of a chart of like Apple or something like that that's been flat on the daily for a little bit. So we'll just kind of have to see like if it can start to break out here or not. But I think it will be able to, like later on today or tomorrow.
Sounds good. And then we have, let's see, Bravo saying, can you guys look at 10-year treasury rates? Is it the reason why the market is dropping? I'm trying not to trade today because Big Daddy P speaks tomorrow. What do you guys think about Paul Tudor Jones' interview at CNBC? So we didn't watch the entire interview yet, but let's see. I mean, it doesn't look like it doesn't look like rates are really driving the markets today. I mean, I'm sure that they have some influence like they always do, but I'm not seeing any like absolutely crazy movement that would cause the market to act like it is now. And like, it's not like the market's like really tanking right now. Like, the SPY is only down 0.12%. So I'm not really too worried. But then with the next comment, we have A saying, look at the short float on Workhorse. So let me pull it up real quick. Let's see. The short float, wow, it's actually like 40%. I didn't expect it to be this high.
Yeah, me either. I mean, that's actually pretty high out of Workhorse. I think it was even lower than that like a week or two ago whenever I was looking at it, just based off of memory. But man, that's not good to hear. And like Workhorse is kind of hitting like off of those resistances and just moving straight to the downside. So that's not a good sign right now, but that's a great thing to hear, honestly, because if that squeeze starts to initiate, it could really send Workhorse to the upside. And man, all it might take is just some good news out of Workhorse. Like if they announce like a car starting up, or who knows, like if they come out with like some good news and they force people to have to like, close some of their positions, that's going to end up being a pretty good squeeze there, being at 40%. That's even higher than like AMC was during its run up just a couple weeks ago.
Huh, very interesting. So we have John asking about Netflix for this week. So I like it, Tom. Like, I know it's technically down a little bit today, but I feel like the setup looks kind of similar to how Square looked like a couple weeks ago. Like, you know how Square was stuck in that range between 200 and 280, and we're finally starting to see a bounce back up. I feel like Netflix has a pretty similar setup. Its range would be like 480 and like 560. Now, the only thing is, let's say some crazy, crazy news happens tomorrow with Powell, that can change things. But with how it stands right now and with the current momentum, especially with tech stocks, I think it looks pretty decent.
Yeah, I think it does too. And I like how you said that with Powell for tomorrow, because that could really change the landscape of the overall market with just with just like the flick of your hands, or the just snap of your fingers. Powell could pretty much just reverse the overall market. So it's getting kind of crazy. Definitely looking at that $500 kind of like resistance here for Netflix as well. But I honestly really like the setup, and it's kind of like around support. And I think it's a great time to pick up shares, if anything.
Alrighty, let's see. With the next comments, we have M saying Neo is trying and DraftKings is up. All right, there we go. So DraftKings, it's definitely rebounding a little bit, which is awesome. How's Neo doing though? I know it had an amazing day on Friday, and it was even up a little bit yesterday, but it's holding its ground. I know it had such a explosive day on Friday where it's hard to have those like continuous back to back to back like explosive green days, but I think it's good how it's holding its ground. It's trying. The major support I see is like right around $45.50.
Yeah, I do too. I think that's going to be a great like type of level today for support. And it is kind of like failing to break out above some of these SMAs up here at the top, and that resistance right around like 46.50. I think if we could start to move back above that, NIO will start to look really good. But like you said, it's just hard to have those continuous like huge green days in a row. And it's almost reassuring to see this type of like pullback like this. I think that shows that, number one, NIO is kind of just moving normally. And we can see like on the way up, there's been a few like red days do like where it kind of like went slightly up to slightly down. And I think that might just be like what we're seeing today is just like a couple day, little bit of a pullback before we start to see a pop. And just also keep in mind, guys, that, like we talked about, Powell's going to be talking tomorrow, and that might be really affecting the market today. People are definitely going to be trimming some position and stuff like that, just in case, he kind of messes things up. So I think that's definitely going to have some impact on like the market today as well.
Alrighty, so Tom, what's going on with these poor bank stocks? Like they were on fire for the past couple months, but you look at them over the past week and they're getting hammered.
Man, it is not good to see. JP Morgan is just getting hammered, like you said. We've been even seeing the JP Morgan CEO, like Jamie Dimon, coming out talking about stuff like the JP Morgan's been stockpiling cash and stuff. Like maybe that's why they're going down, Mike. Inflation's going on and they're sitting on a bunch of cash. So who knows? I mean, it doesn't seem like the best decision to me, but maybe they need that cash for something, later on, like if they start to incur a bunch of costs or something like that. So I think that in the short term, I'm definitely looking at banks in like more of a negative way. But one thing that's interesting is that how big this pullback is right before Powell's supposed to talk. And, these FOMC meetings are going to be crazy. They're expected not to really change anything. But at the same time, like with inflation and stuff, a lot of these banks like JP Morgan and Deutsche Bank are saying that inflation is going to get a lot worse than what people are thinking it is. And if those banks are saying that, I wonder if like Powell and some of these people really might end up changing some of the stuff on this FOMC meeting, like some of their policies and some of like how they're buying up bonds and stuff like that. They might start to really change things up. And especially like with interest rates as well, that's really going to affect the banks. And it's definitely going to be a crazy day, I think, tomorrow, whenever we start to see like what Powell is really talking about, because like with how much the banks are going down, it's definitely getting worrisome, Mike. I mean, I don't know about you, but it's definitely been on my radar the past few days, and it's definitely not looking good. So we're going to have to see like what happens. But I have a decent feeling the banks might start to pop back up, if the Fed starts to like help them out or something like that. But we'll just have to see what Powell does, I guess.
Alrighty, and then let's see. We have Spacely saying, hit that like button, guys. Let's go. Thank you for that, Spacely. Guys, when you guys hit the like button, it really, really helped us out, and we really appreciate it. So thank you guys so much for joining the stream. We have Corbin saying, what's up with Apple and Palantir? So Palantir was, if we look at Palantir intraday, it was really running up towards resistance, and it got rejected a little bit. Like, you know, we could see like it hit like 25.50, and it's coming down a little bit. So I like it for the long term, but to see this type of rejection, it's not the best sign, you can say. IV is popping up too, which just shows like investors are getting a little bit worried. And I don't know. I mean, it's not like my favorite day trading setup right now. To be honest, nothing's really catching my eyes right now in the market, but the market has only been open for 29 minutes, so I'm not really worried about that. But how about we check out Apple, Tom? I know it had an amazing, amazing day yesterday. It finally had that recovery that we were all looking for, and it tried to run up again today, but now it's starting to pull back a little bit.
Yeah, I actually like this. I think it looks like a pretty good setup still. If we could hold this $130 level, I think Apple could still start to move up today. And I really like it. It's moving off these SMAs pretty well. And if we look at this red 1000 SMA yesterday at open on the 1 minute, you can see it just popped down and touched that and then ended up flying up for the rest of the morning. And it kind of did that again today at open. And I'm not saying Apple's going to keep just flying up from here, but it seems like if we could hold 130, this could be a pretty good support level for a quick intraday trade if we start to see another pop back to the upside. But definitely make it hold 130 for a few minutes, because like you said, the market just opened, and sometimes we see a lot of this zigzaggy up and down movement, and then we'll see a big move to the downside or a big move to the upside. So still definitely be looking at stocks today, because even though there's just been a little bit of a slight pullback, they still have a lot of potential, I think, for movement later on.
All right. And then Shelby said, do you see Palantir running today? I mean, it's possible, but it's not my favorite setup, to be honest. Not my favorite setup right now. Bravo said, what's up with Disney? Looks stronger. Financials definitely worrisome. I agree. It's the best sector so far. All right, Disney, it is not doing anything right now. On the daily, it's also not doing anything. It's just consolidating. They're just a slow and steady stock, you're not going to get crazy gains out of this one. The IV is literally 25%, which is extremely, extremely low. It's just a slow and steady stock, and, I like it for the long term, but I'm not really expecting, any major movement to the upside or the downside right now with it.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's definitely going to be a longer term thing, and keep in mind that they're going to do very well whenever they have good Disney Plus numbers and stuff like that. So Disney generally has a lot of big moves on earnings, and if we go back and look at earnings, sometimes when they report, it really makes them pop up, or at least whenever they report good numbers. So hopefully we can keep seeing that growth out of Disney Plus, and it can keep growing. But I think that if you just hold it for the long term, or you get shares, I think that there will be pretty significant growth out of Disney. I think Disney could hit 300 a share or something over the next few years. But keep in mind, that's over a few years. So there's going to be a bunch of up and down movement on the way to there. And it's definitely going to take, good numbers from Disney Plus, because they're projected to still double in growth and stuff like that. So as long as those numbers hold up, I think that they'll do fantastic.
Sounds good. And then we have Kay saying, why Roku tank? Let's check it out. ROKU is down around 2.5% today. And honestly, I don't think it's specifically Roku. I think it's just more you look at a lot of stocks right now. Palantir was running up so well, you could say 20 minutes ago, and now it's starting to tank. You could say the same thing about a lot of other companies. Even my favorite one, Zoom, right now. Even that's tanking a little bit. We have Baba tanking a little bit. There's a lot of them out there that are pulling back this morning, and I just think it's the overall market. Looking at Roku specifically, I do see support right around 352, and then even a little bit around 354. Do you see anything I'm missing, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's a pretty good level as well. It just seems that it's just moving right off of these supports, and then moving kind of right off of the resistances as well to the downside. And, like you said, it's unfortunate because a lot of stocks are doing it. Palantir is right around resistance. DraftKings was at resistance. Roku is right around resistance. So, we're just seeing a bunch of these stocks at the resistances. They're also finally like getting to these SMAs as well, and then starting to move to the downside on the daily. And it's just not a good sign in the short term. But just keep in mind also, like I said earlier, Powell is probably like scaring the market today. People are probably getting a little bit worried for tomorrow. So that could be like what's sending the market down or making it at least slightly flat, especially like with tech stocks. So I'm really just watching, a lot of them like Twitter and Facebook, which have kind of like had good days and are still kind of holding up pretty well. But it does seem like a lot of these growth stocks, unfortunately, are just starting to go down, like Zoom, Palantir, DraftKings. I know DraftKings had the bad news, but it just seems like that all those types of growth stocks are just pulling back a little bit today. And even like whenever we go to like NIO, it was pulling back. So it just seems like that out of almost all the stocks that have been going up the past few days, they're just kind of like at those resistances, and they've moved up so much the past few days that these little pullbacks shouldn't be too worrisome. But it is a pretty negative thing to see, at least for today.
Alrighty, and then we have Kay saying, why is Tesla selling off? Any news? I think it's just kind of like the same thing Tom said, like kind of like Powell, just, bringing a little bit like more fear into the market. And then let's also not forget that, especially with the tech sector, like it exploded yesterday, especially at the end of the day. And, it's kind of like, I don't want to say expected, but it's not surprising to see, the stocks pull back the next day. And then we have Kay saying Clove is running. Let's check it out. Yeah, it definitely is running. It's bouncing off that $14 support, resistance at 16. If it breaks out of 16, the next major resistance isn't until like 1850, you can say.
Yeah, I mean, this daily on CLOV is starting to look pretty strong. To be honest, Mike, I don't know how you feel about it, but on the daily, it's been consolidating down here at these levels, and it looks like it might start to have another pop back to the upside. And I don't know how high it could go, but it definitely looks like it's getting some momentum. And on the setup here, it looks pretty strong as well.
Tom, AMC is back. We have a bunch of people in the chat talking about it. AMC is popping up.
Ooh, it broke 60.
Yeah, exactly. It's popping up.
Yeah, this is awesome. Broke $60. I'm glad to see it moving off of the SMAs as well. I mean, it's just been following this purple like 100 SMA to the upside, moving like very well off of it. I really like that. And then it's moving out, up above those resistances right now. Who knows how high this thing could run today, guys? I mean, I think it has a lot of potential to keep going up, especially for intraday trade today. If it could start to break out above that 61, 67, where it just was a couple minutes ago, I think it'll be pretty awesome. And I think that if we just look at the 1 minute really quick, we're going to start to see some pretty volatile candles to the upside. If this green candle starts to really work out, I mean, we could start to see some big moves out of this. And I'm sure that it breaking $60 just put it on a ton of people's radar right now. And I think a bunch of people are going to start flying into AMC as it starts to fly back up. But I'm kind of looking at $70 as the next resistance. I mean, it's hard to tell because the movement's been so quick on AMC, but there's really almost no resistance back up to that $70 area. So hopefully we can start to see a pretty big move, Mike, because it's starting to look pretty decent. But on the 1 minute, it is starting to come back down now, which isn't the best of signs, but it could easily keep rocketing back.
Guys, just please be careful if you plan on playing options, because you can be super bullish on AMC, but if you buy options that are too far out of the money, you can lose even if AMC goes up. So just please be careful with that. Shares would probably be better if you're, if you don't want to get into like a quality option. But yeah, AMC is popping, and like you were saying, Tom, like it is at its high of day right now, and we know that a lot of people are watching this stock, but think about all like the day traders out there, or swing traders, and the bots and everything, who are scanning for stocks that are breaking their high of day. You know what I mean? Like the more AMC moves up, the more people like that are going to see it. But then also like the more that like people have scanners for like top gainers and all that stuff are going to see it. So either way, it looks pretty. It doesn't look bad right now, and it's hard to bet against this one.
Yeah, and look at that implied volatility today, just being very volatile overall as well at 273%. So as we start to see more movement, we'll probably see this implied volatility continue to turn back to the upside, and that'll just make the options even crazier. So keep that in mind as we're going up as well. But man, this is going to be an insane, and it looks like it's really trying to run up here. We're kind of just sitting here waiting for it to break, but it's moving pretty slow, honestly. I would kind of I kind of would have expected a little bit bigger of moves as of right now, but hopefully we can start to see a breakout, over the next like 20 to 30 minutes out of this. I think it could be a pretty good runner, but we'll just have to see because it's definitely consolidating a lot right now.
Alrighty, we have Click saying, Tom and Mike, good job. What is the next support for Baba? I'll let you cover this one, Tom.
Yeah, Baba has a pretty big support around 212 and then 211. We're kind of just falling under that like 212 right now, just very slightly under it. But 211 is a pretty defined one, on an intraday chart. Whenever we go out to the daily, there's a pretty big support down here also, like right around like 210. And then below that, unfortunately, all the way down at like 204.30. But I think that with Baba going forward, it's definitely going to take a few days for Baba to work out, and we're going to kind of have to see like how this is moving because overall it's coming down to like that support, like I said, around 212 to 211. But then also there's a pretty big support down there around 204, and it won't be a play that moves tomorrow, but I think that like over the next few weeks we might start to see another pop back up, especially like if we can start to see some green from that FOMC meeting. Like if Baba reacts positively off of that, it could be great news. And also, like if there's no more China news, like if we see any negative China news, that could be bad for Baba as well. But hopefully we see some just decent news, and Baba can start to recover back up because they've been beaten down quite a bit over the past few months, and they seem like they possibly have a lot of room back to the upside. But that support right there, like right around like 210 to 211, is pretty defined.
Another thing to keep in mind is Baba isn't really correlated to like the market in general. So like, I think that's a good trait to have, especially with the market, like with the market in this environment. As of right now, Baba has a correlation of negative zero point 0.7 to the S&P 500. So, if the market like really starts to fall off, some might think Baba might rise, but the point is just that like it doesn't really care what the market overall does, which in my opinion that's a great time, especially in with all the catalysts going on in the market right now. But then we have Bravo saying, what about MSGS Nix stock? I want to dip by, but not sure what levels. And then, are you guys planning to do a special video for 1,000? Maybe pump some stocks like Benzinga. I don't know about that, but we'll figure something out. But MSGS, what do you think, Tom? What are some like the top levels to watch out for?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a huge level here, right around $180 on MSGS, which is Madison Square Garden. And man, it's definitely looking pretty strong at that level, 180. There's another pretty good support down here, right around like 174 to 175, where we're sitting at like right now. But it's honestly not looking too good in the short term. Looks like it's turning over a little bit, but it is right on that support, which is pretty defined. And I think anywhere like around 170 to 175 looks like a pretty decent support, and it's hit off of those levels a ton in the past. So definitely look out for that. I think that's going to be like the areas to watch. But yeah, I mean, it is like a New York Knicks stock kind of. And, like I think the New York Rangers play there too. And there's definitely a lot of events there. And as like New York starts to reopen, I think it'll be great. But keep in mind that, New York has been one of the hardest hit areas from the pandemic, I should say. And it's more of a, not really that New York got hit harder than somewhere else. It's just like the policies that were implemented there definitely did not help out the businesses. And you can see how like Madison Square Garden just got destroyed, like from 300 a share all the way down to like 140 at the lows. And we're sitting at 174 right now. But as the economy reopens more and more, I think that Madison Square Garden will kind of get back up there. But in the short term, I don't like it too much. But I think if you're going to grab shares, I think it's a decent time.
All right, and then we have Corbin saying, why do you think GLD is going down? So there's no major move to go along with this specific move. Yeah, I mean there's nothing major with it. It's just kind of like the natural fluctuation with it. But to be honest, I'm kind of surprised with the way GLD is moving.
Yeah, I mean, with inflation, I would have kind of expected GLD to start to go up a little bit, but maybe it's because everybody thinks that inflation's not going to be around for as long as people are kind of projecting and stuff like that. So maybe that's the reason. But I think that with the FOMC meeting, it'll definitely shed some light on the gold for sure. I mean, gold moves a lot also based off of the dollar and off of bonds. So we'll keep that in mind as well, that whenever like the dollar moves, generally gold moves in a certain way as well. And it's been a long time since I've traded, gold and dollar futures together. I used to do that when I first started trading a long time ago, but I know that they're definitely correlated, and definitely like look at the dollar as well if you're looking at gold, because it's going to have a huge impact. And then also some foreign markets really affect gold, like the Chinese markets as well. And there's always governments buying up tons of gold. So keep in mind that gold's always having a bunch of weird catalysts with it and stuff like that. But I think that once we finally have this FOMC meeting come out tomorrow, I should say, whenever Powell talks, I think that that's going to be a pretty big revelation and insight into gold. And we're going to finally see, like, if inflation's getting way worse than expected, then gold's going to pop up. But if it's not, then it's going to pop down. And I think that's kind of where it is right now, in between the middle of its range. So I think that's just the main thing. If it's good news for gold, it'll make it fly. But if it's bad, it's going to make it go down, obviously. And I think people are just kind of like waiting for that news tomorrow. And I don't think that it's like necessarily flying off the table by any means. It only moved from like 180 down to like 172 to 174. So it's not like the biggest move in the world either.
Tom, what's going on with AMC? It's popping up right now. It's breaking its high a day. It's up over 10% already. Tons of volume coming in. IV rising. It's popping.
Yeah, look at that confirmation off that $60 level here on the breakout. Broke out, came right back down and touched 60, and then flew right up. I really like the setup, 62.86 out of AMC. And guys, just like we said, whenever I thought it would cross above $60, I thought it would be a pretty good trade for a day trade. Looks like it would have definitely worked out pretty well. I like how it's popping up. Hopefully it can start to break out above 63. I think this thing has potential to go up to 70 or something like that today. I think we might see moves similar to what we saw yesterday. So look out for more movement today. At least I would think we could hit like $65, but it looks pretty good. It's breaking out very well, Mike. And man, it's nice to see this. A lot of people have been kind of beaten down over the past couple of weeks with AMC just kind of falling back to that support around $40 and just having a bad few days. So it's good to see this coming back. And I know it's going to bring a lot of eyes back into the market, and it's definitely getting exciting. I like to watch it. And it's almost like watching boxing or watching a fight, because I love watching, how they're moving up and down and everybody's just getting really worried about it. And then right now they're all really happy and flying into AMC. So hopefully we can keep seeing more movement. And looks like on the 1 minute, we're definitely going to see that, as it looks like it's just going to keep running up here.
All righty. Yeah, I know AMC is one of the most volatile stocks in the market right now. It's just popping up. You know what I mean? I mean, IV's exploding. It's breaking out. I'm trying to see, I know that a lot of people are saying the short interest data on AMC is just not accurate. I'm trying to pull it up on the stock bot right now, which actually has the short float, Tom, at 23%, which is higher than when we last checked. So, and some people are saying that it's actually a lot higher than 23%. So, I don't know. It's definitely a crazy situation.
Yeah, it's weird to see on our stock bot anyways. It's really weird to see how that float is going down and then going back up. People are adding to these shorts or getting more shorts, which is kind of crazy, as we're seeing, AMC flying up. I wonder who's doing that. But whenever we go look at the 1 year daily, it honestly looks very strong. And I think AMC could keep running up for sure. It's looking pretty strong. Hopefully it pushes those shorts out and we see a bigger move to the upside. I think that would obviously be best case scenario here, but who knows? Maybe these people know something, but I have no idea. But it does look very strong today. It is running up nicely. And whenever we look at the 1 minute, it's having a little bit of problems breaking out above $63, but overall still moving very, very well. And I think it could definitely have have some potential to keep going up later on today. But I would say if you're day trading it at this point, make it break out above 63 before you enter into another position.
Alrighty, and then how is pins doing? It's actually right at that $70 resistance. Do you have any ideas with this one?
Yeah, I mean, Pinterest is moving well. Like we're seeing a lot of those social media companies or tech stocks start to like hold their level a little bit here. And I really like Pinterest. Whenever we go look at like the max daily, I think it looks pretty good. There is a lot of resistance here, right around $70, which is like right where we're at now. I would think that we could break that, but keep in mind there might be a lot of consolidation or a lot of movement along this level. But as long as we keep seeing like a huge breakout, I think that'll be great. And yeah, go look at intraday yesterday. It actually hit right off of $70, like pretty evenly right off of it. So to the cent even. So definitely watch out for $70 today. We're sitting right around that level. And I think if we could break out there, it could be an amazing day trade possibly, but we're just going to have to see what happens because there's definitely been a lot of movement here. And on the daily, it's almost went straight up over the past few days. So just don't be surprised if we see a couple days of consolidation, kind of like what we saw like with NIO this morning. You know, NIO kind of started to turn over a little bit and post a little bit of a red candle. Nothing too bad for NIO. You know, it's only down 2%, only fell down like about 1 point. So it's not like it's really down that much at all. And I think that with Pinterest, we might just start to see a slight turnover like that, especially being at this key resistance.
All right, and then we have Vicky saying shop in CRM, please. So SHOP, it's looking good. I'm trying to see if there's like any other like levels or anything. I mean, to me it looks good. I don't see anything major right now. I mean, there is resistance at like 1400 and then 1500, which is the all-time high. But do you see anything I'm missing, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not seeing too much here on Shopify. When I go look at like the 1 year daily, I like the levels you posted as well. It's starting to really break out above like that 1300 level. 1400 might be a pretty good level coming up. But, you know, Mike, I actually just found some news on the overall market. And I don't know, this might be talking about inflation, you know, having another surge again, but they're talking about like the labor department, and they're saying that producer prices as of May rose 6.6% over the past 12 months, which is the fastest increase on record. And at the same time, retail sales declined 1.3%, worse than the 0.6% estimate. So there was just some negative news that seems like came out of some of these like economy numbers that came out today. And also some of these labor numbers weren't the best also. So that's not a good sign to see. And it's not good to see that, but it didn't really, you know, the overall market is just slightly down to flat. It's not like it's crashing down or anything, but that could be some of the news that affected the market at open.
Alrighty, and then CRM, this one I like it too. It's maybe for like a couple weeks swing. Shares would probably be best with this one unless you wanted to do like maybe like a put credit spread or maybe even a call debit spread. I'm trying to see if I'm trying to look at the options chain. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I would definitely say like a put credit spread or a call debit spread or even shares with this one. I think it looks good though.
Yeah, I think it does too. I think CRM is setting up pretty good intraday, really good support down here around 244. It's bounced off of it quite a bit, and it looks like as an intraday day trade or something like that, it really bounced off that level well, and it could start to move back to the upside. So I really like CRM possibly today for a quick day trade. And whenever we go out to the 1 year daily, it's recovering up very nicely. Just be careful of this resistance up here around like 250. We're only like 4 points away, so just be a little careful, but it looks like a pretty good setup. And I love how it bounced off support a lot. And it just honestly, a lot of people like Salesforce and CRM for the long run. And I think it's definitely not going anywhere.
All right, and then we have Bravo asking about CVX. So oil stocks are doing pretty well today, Tom. Chevron has a high today right around like 110.50, but it looks pretty good, honestly. You know, like I think that it's good to see like kind of like this. I don't want to say rotation just yet, but just to see the oil stocks doing well. CVX is one of the best, like fundamentally, and they're pretty close to their yearly high too.
Yeah, this is awesome, actually. I love some of these oil companies and their moves back to the upside here off of this recovery. You know, oil got destroyed like whenever COVID happened. And man, it's been crazy to see how their recovery has been so steep and so nice to the upside, honestly. And whenever you look at CVX, there's a huge resistance coming up right around like 113, and it's definitely hit off of it a few times. So look out for 113 as we start to go up over the next few days. But I really like the moves off of it. And I like the move off that support down there around like $100. I think that was a pretty good bounce as well. And honestly, oil's just flying up. If we go look at crude oil futures on the daily as well, you can see slash CL almost has like, it's honestly just moving straight up, just breaking out. And I think that's the main catalyst for like CVX and some of these oil companies. As long as oil prices stay up and demand stays high for oil, they're going to be making a lot of money, you know, in the shorter term. So as long as oil keeps going up, I think that CVX will do great. And then also like OPEC and some of those countries, they've been kind of like pushing oil to the upside. So hopefully they don't change any of their policy, because as of right now, it's definitely helping oil go up. But I think that like over the next couple months, we might start to see oil come down a little bit, which will hurt some of these companies, but who knows how high they can go up in the shorter term.
All right, Tom, do you have any last minute stocks or anything you're watching for today?
Man, I'm still trying to look at NIO. I mean, hoping that there's going to be a pretty good recovery, but it's kind of just still staying at these lower levels. It is holding here around like, 45.20 to like 45.50 pretty well. I'm definitely going to be looking at it. If it starts to break to the downside, not going to be too happy about it. We were looking at Facebook starting to break out earlier also, and it's kind of just sitting there, consolidating right now. So if Facebook can break out above 340, that one will also be nice. And I'm also still watching Palantir. I mean, initially it opened, Palantir looked great. It broke out above that resistance, moved up very nicely, and just got like pretty much destroyed now over the past few minutes, moving from 25.55 all the way down now to 24.70. And it's just continuing its descent to the downside now. And it's just not looking good. And honestly, Mike, it's just overall today, I think is going to be a little bit of a crazy day with Powell talking tomorrow. So I think that we're just going to have to be a little patient and see like what happens in the market tomorrow rather than trying to force something today, because guys, just be a little careful, because anything could happen today. And there might be a whole bunch of up and down movement. And for example, like Palantir is going down right now, but I could see it coming back up to 25 at some point today. So just keep in mind that there's going to be a lot of up and down movement as we go forward, especially like out of the SPY and the QQQ and stuff like that. But it's definitely unfortunate to see all these things going down.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. We had a great stream. Thank you guys so much for joining and asking great questions. And we hope you have an amazing